I want to talk about some benchmarks for a home service business on how much you should be spending on marketing depending on what your revenue level is. And by the way, hi, my name is Carl Stoy from Stoy Media, and over the past year and a half, we've been helping businesses scale up with paid ads and getting them more opportunities to sell, and from there, them making more money. But let's talk about the benchmarks for home service ad spend and how much you should be spending depending on where you should be. And to be honest, a good benchmark in just percentage, because this is going to be a lot easier, is 5 to 10% of your net monthly revenue. So we'll do this, of your net monthly revenue. So the total amount that you make that month in revenue, 5 to 10% of that should go to marketing in order to make more money and grow that next month. Which, let's just go specific on like where common revenue levels are and then just tell you how much you should be spending. So let's just go monthly. So let's say you're at a $5 million company and you make, $450,000 a month. Therefore, following the common rule, and we'll just say 10%, because if you're willing to do 10%, you are going to grow pretty fast. If you're willing to go 10% of your monthly revenue, you're gonna grow pretty fast. But if we wanna do 5%, then feel free to do that. But I'm gonna just do 10 because it's gonna be a lot easier for me to do it. So then that means you should be spending $45,000 a month. This is how much you should be spending a month on marketing. Let me grab a new marker because this one's kind of old. If we get a new one, and let's just make sure this is outlined. So this is marketing. This is your monthly revenue. So then let's do another one. Let's say you are a $10 million company and let's say 12, and you do $1 million a month. So here, 1 million a month. Let's make it look nice and large. Therefore, you should probably be spending $100,000 per month on marketing. Now let's go a lot lower. Let's say you only do $1 million a year and you only have, we'll say 80,000 a month. This is really rough numbers, by the way. 80,000 a month, then 10% of that, we can imagine, is $8,000 a month. And I can tell you this truly. We have worked with companies under $1 million a year, and we have worked with companies doing over $1 million a year. And I promise you, the ones spending more are the ones growing more. The ones spending least, doesn't matter where you are. I have seen $5 million companies spend less than some of our $1 million partners. That's fine. The $1 million partners aren't going to be there for very long. And when they get up to the $5 million range, they're not going to be at $5 million for very long because they understand how much you should be spending depending on how much you're making. Now, if we specifically talk about the guys doing over 5 million, they're spending way less and they're not going to grow, if at all, or very, very fast. They're not going to grow very much or very fast. And so the truth is, if you want to grow more, you should be spending more money on marketing. You shouldn't cut marketing when things are rough. Instead, you should spend more money on marketing in order to recover it. Because the truth is, I don't even know why executives even think like this. But it's fine. Let me just change your executive belief if you're willing and open to it. If you had a way to turn $1 into $5 consistently, we'll say $1 into $2. If you had a machine where you put $1 in and $2 came out, how many dollars would you put in there? I think the answer is I'm going to put all of my dollars in there. And so it's very smart. If you have a working marketing, which by the way, if your marketing isn't working, either you need a different in-house team, however it's ran, either you need a different team, a different offer, or you need a different guidance. Like if you have a consultant is what I'm trying to specifically say. If you have a consultant, change the consultant. But if your marketing team is currently telling you to do something, hey, we need a new offer, this isn't working, people aren't responding to just the free quotes, then listen to them. But if you can consistently turn $1 into $2, you should keep spending money there. That's just my opinion. That's kind of how business and economics should work. And so you'll be shocked how many people, if they had the right data, would keep spending more. And I really urge you that you collect as much data as possible on your marketing. You understand your ROAS, return on ad spend, which is essentially your revenue divided by your ad spend, which, let's use some mock numbers. Let's just make sure I also put together the equation right. Essentially, let's just say you spent, or you got 100,000 out over, you spent $10,000. You would get a 10x return, meaning for every $1 you put into this system, you got $10 out. And usually for the really high scale companies, like we're talking $1 million a month, and you're spending about $100,000 a month, you may get a 2 to 3x return, meaning you put in $100,000, you got 200 or 300. Now, because you're a home service company, let's say you're a roofing company with a really high ticket, you're probably gonna get way more back, because if you schedule off of $100,000 a month, you schedule 300 appointments that month, you're probably gonna close a lot, and a lot more than 100,000. And so it all depends on your industry and what you're specifically selling. You know, if you're selling Christmas lights versus gutters versus roofing versus remodels versus kitchens, well, that's kind of the same thing, but like kitchens is a lot higher ticket. And so it all just kind of depends on what you're selling, but I would really recommend that you get familiar with your ROAS, your return on ad spend, so you know, does the math make sense? Am I getting a return, a multiple of my money back by putting more money into this? And so if all this makes sense, and if you have 0 questions, then don't drop a comment. But if you do have a question, then drop a comment. And if you're interested in finding out how you can pay per qualified lead on any home service campaign, of course, reach out to us. There's gonna be the first link in the description, and we'd love to talk with you and find out if this might work out.